waiting. When you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel it, we'll take it in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Feel it, we'll take it in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping.
Good evening. It's January 25th, 2025. It's Saturday evening. We have a new president. A lot happened this week. There's a lot to talk about. And I'm Chris Gargiulo, and this is my weekly video podcast of real estate with Mr. G. And we discuss the happenings within the real estate industry and also the mortgage industry and the economy. And I do my best to keep you up to date of how to purchase, the best way to apply for a mortgage, a whole bunch of wonderful, good information. Okay. And I also have a blog, Real Estate with Mr. G .blog, where I post the minimum of 5 articles per week and about 3 videos a week. And they go and help you prepare to either purchase a home and or list a home. Okay. And I'm also a licensed referral specialist, and I still have my associate broker's license with Realty Connect LLC. And with that, we could help you purchase and or list the property anywhere within the United States of America. Okay. I could consult with you and we could talk, and I could give you advice along the way, but the actual showing of properties and the listing of properties will be with an agent in that locale. And you will have a choice with up to 3 agents across the country that are in your specific locale to choose which one works best for you, the one that you feel the most comfortable with. And there's no additional cost for this. I get paid from the closing. There's no added points. And I think it's a good thing because you're getting 2 agents for the price of 1. I mean, how wonderful could that be? All right. And let me show you a little film that sort of puts it into a nutshell.
Imagine hiring someone for a job without an interview. That's how most people pick a real estate agent. Unfortunately, most people don't find out what kind of agent they have until they're already in the middle of a transaction. But how do you find a great agent before making a move? Realty Connect is an invite-only network of the top 5% of all real estate agents in the country. Our free, easy-to-use online service helps you find the right agent for the job. Here's how it works. At Realty Connect, we analyze historical data from millions of real estate transactions and past client reviews to objectively determine which agents are good in a given area. Then we grade each agent on their skills, experience, reputation, knowledge, and communication. Extraordinary agents that score 95% or higher are invited into our network. This comprehensive vetting process allows us to recommend 3 top local agents that will be a good fit for a buyer or seller based on the client's unique needs and the skills and strengths of the agent. Just provide us with some basic information about you and your real estate goals. Once received, we'll match you with 3 top-rated agents that specialize in your market. Evaluate each agent and decide who you like best without any pressure or obligation. We make finding the perfect agent fast and easy, but the best part is our service is 100% free. That's right, none of our services will cost you a penny. We felt the best way to find a real estate professional, and it works by matching you with top-rated agents based on their skills and strengths. Our nationwide network allows us to serve every zip code in the U.S., so whether you're moving across the country or just moving across town, if you're buying or selling a home, let Realty Connect help you find an extraordinary agent today.
All right, and basically you go to realestatewithmrg.us and you enter your information. And again, you might be leaving Hampton Roads and going out to California to move, if you're being transferred, if you're in the military, and we can help you with that, okay? And again, there's no additional fees. That's the best thing about it. The video doesn't... animation, that first agent looks a little bit like Anderson Cooper. I always wanted to say that. I don't know if they modeled the animated character after Anderson Cooper, but he looks a lot like Anderson Cooper. All right, so what are we going to talk about tonight? What is our topic question? All right, so let's bring in, I believe her name is Dominique, and she is from Palo Alto in California.
Good day, Mr. G. I am one of your biggest fans. I put my house on the market last November and it still hasn't sold. Can you give me any ideas why it is still not sold so I can avoid this issue in the future? Any advice would be most appreciated. If I need to call or have a private consultation with you, I am so willing to do so. I watch your video podcasts every week, but just by myself since I am not married or have a boyfriend. I will DM my phone number after the broadcast. Thanks so much and keep it going strong in 2025.
Okay, thank you, Dominique. But this is my wedding ring here, but I'm married. Okay, but thanks for offering. But we could talk. I could, via Zoom or direct messaging, FaceTime, and I'll give you the best information possible to help you list your home. So that's a very good question. The house has been on the market for about now November, December, January, going to end January, for about 3 months. So what's going on? Now, actually, before I get into my PDF file, which was one of the articles that was on my blog this week.
Good day, Mr. G.
I'm sorry. This article came up on the stream. What came up this week, I want to show that. It's actually from the Washington Post, and I don't know with the computer screen how much you could see, but it's from the Washington Post. It came out a day ago, and the housing market hasn't been this slow in almost 30 years. Now, I'm not going to go through this one word for word, but basically, it's talking about how prices are high, interest rates are high, and people perhaps as for buyers who are not qualifying for those higher rates, or they said, the house that I wanted, that a couple of years ago was in my price range, let's say 300,000. Now I have to spend up to 375,000 with a higher interest rate. So they're thinking it over. It might be they can't be approved for the amount that they want. As for the size of the house, the amount of bedrooms, the amount of bathrooms, the square footage, and having a difficult time. And now the other side of that is that, and that's dealing with inventory, is that people who own a house and they said, "Yeah, I would like to move to a bigger home, but the mortgage rates, I'm paying a mortgage rate now of 3%. Now I have to go over 7%. I mean, that's 4 points higher, more than 4 points higher, and home prices are much higher. So I'm going to have extra $1,000 of my monthly mortgage payment. Maybe I'll try to make this house work for a couple more years and see what's happening. So we don't have people putting their existing homes on the market. And as well, we have builders who are saying, well, we want to build, but the cost of supplies and the cost of homes, once we put on the market, and the high interest rate, we might put all this money into it, and those houses might just sit there. So it's a big dilemma now. We basically have to see what President Trump will do. Now, he did this proclamation that the government will help ease the cost of home purchasing, but it was just symbolic. We have to see exactly what he's going to do. Now, last week we talked about what he's planning to do, and one of the big things is building on federal lands. But if you remember the map, I don't know if I still have the map up here. Let me see if I kept the map. Oh, yes, I did keep the map. And a lot of these federal lands are on the western part of the United States. All right. So the red here represents the federal lands. Very few, as you go from the middle part of America to the right, there are very few. All right. So it's not going to really help the people who are in the more industrial, in the cities that are dealing with industry, where workers are needed. You really don't have it on the East Coast. The West Coast here, in this area, you have farming land. If you're a farmer or you're raising cattle, that's fine. I don't know what, and I'm not saying there's no industry out here, but it's not in the record amounts that you really have. Probably more in California and Washington and Oregon, but it's not going to meet with needs. And plus, when if his administration has developed this build out here, you're still far away from your the items that you need, your utilities, like you need grocery stores, shopping centers, schools, hospitals. Okay. So you don't want to be in the middle of God's country, basically, and have to drive miles and miles to get groceries and send your kids to school. So I don't know if that's going to work. All right. And I don't believe, well, I do know that the president does not have control over his interest rates. Now, he could make suggestions. He could influence interest rates, put his 2 cents in, but it doesn't have to be, right? It doesn't have to be what he wants. There's a lot of dominoes that have to fall before these interest rates can go down. So he can't order the head of the Federal Reserve to lower the rates. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Not saying anything negative. We'll see what happens. But we do have a situation right now with affordable housing. All right. But let's go on to today's topic. And if your house is not, if your house price is not compelling, it's not selling. Okay. That sounds interesting, right? All right. So let's move down here. There's one big mistake you need to avoid when you sell your house this year: setting your price too high. It might seem like overpricing gives you room to negotiate or could really boost your profit. But the reality is, it backfires. All right. Now I'm going to talk about my own experiences with this in the industry. In fact, Realtor.com says almost 20% of sellers, that's 1 to 5, have reduced their price to get their house sold. And you don't want to be one of them. Here's why: starting too high can lead to trouble. So overpricing pushes buyers away. So as we discussed before, with mortgage rates and home prices where they are right now, buyers are already stretching their budgets to make a move. So when they see a house that's priced too high, they're not thinking, I can negotiate. They're more likely to think, next, and skip over your house entirely. And here's an article from the National Association of Realtors. Some sellers are pricing their homes higher than ever just because they can, but this may drive away serious buyers. And if they skip over your listing, you miss out on the chance to get them through the door. That's the last thing you want, because fewer showings mean fewer chances to receive an offer. All right. And to add, for instance, if your house should be, let's say, below 350,000, all right, but you put it at 375, and then there are people who have set their search parameters to up to 350,000. Okay. So that person is not receiving your listing as it comes on the market, because even though it should be 350, it's not. And most likely 350 is the highest amount that this potential buyer could put an offer on. So you're missing out of that grouping. I could give you 2 examples right now. And the reason why I bring them up, because they lost out. I didn't stay to my gut. Let me put it this way. I had one guy who, he purchased a house from me. He was flipping properties, bought a house, fixed it up really nice, but then priced it out of the average prices of the homes in that era, even if they were the same amount of bedrooms and baths and square footage. And I told him to bring it around 225. He brought up to 275. And it just stood there, and it just stood there, and it just stood there. And then when it expired, he went with another agent. And then he ended up selling it for what I suggested. And the thing is, like, if you're in a certain development and the most expensive home there is 250. Now, you might have did a wonderful upgrade, all new appliances, beautiful cabinets, custom-made cabinets, and you might get a little extra money, but you're not going to get $25,000 to $50,000 above it, because they're going to look at comps. When if someone puts an offer in a house, they're going to say, well, all the houses around there that look just as good, they're not selling that high. And it's not just a $275,000 neighborhood. So for that reason, that house didn't sell, even though he did a very nice upgrade. He just priced it too high. He told me, Chris, I put a lot of money into this. I want to get my return. And it's still in the market. It's still in the market. He gave it to another agent, and then he ended up selling it for what I suggested. And then there were people who put sentimental value into the house. And I had this one woman. She was a widower, and she wanted to sell the house that she bought with her husband. He put a lot of work into it, and it was actually a 2-bedroom, which 2-bedroom homes are hard enough to sell. And he did put a lot of work up to it, but it wasn't modernized. He did what he could. So she had a sentimental value to it. So she made the price higher. I said, no, nobody's going to sell at that. I'll put it on because, you're actually a friend of mine. We go to the same church. But it's not going to sell. And it stood there. I said, all right, we'll take it off the market. Give it a day and we'll put it back on. That moment, we took it off the market. Another agent said, come, I'll sell that house for you. She listed it with them. And again, the house sold at the price that I suggested. The truth hurts, right? Sentimental value put into the house. Her husband who passed away did a lot of work on it. But he didn't modernize the house. It looked clean. It was repaired, but it wasn't modernized. That's why a lot of times, this is another reason why you need an agent, especially when it comes to listing homes, because you get very attached to your house and you don't see the reality to it. You can't be objective. All right? So, and we move down here. The longer your house sits, the more skeptical buyers look at it. And they're saying, well, what's wrong with this house? It's been on the market for about 4 months now. No one's put an offer on it in this market. So what's the issue? What's wrong with it? And you don't want that to happen. So what is the key to finding the right house for your price? The answer is work with a local real estate agent who really knows the market inside out. Okay, and basically I already explained why you need an agent. And the biggest thing is because they can look at the house objectively. You lived there for years, your children grew up in it, you made your repairs, you did your paintings to the house. But you have to go by the comps, what other homes are selling in that area within a 1-mile radius that are basically the same amount of square footage, the same amount of bedrooms and baths. If it has a garage, if it doesn't have a garage, if it has an in-ground pool or whatever. And then once the agent finds those homes, you really have to look then at the photos inside. Has it been upgraded? Has it been renovated? A house that is turnkey ready, where the new buyer just has to go in and bring in their furniture, that's going to be sold at a higher price. But if they got to go, oh, now we got to steam the floors or the carpeting or remove the carpeting, it's not going to go at the price that you would like it to be. And I'm talking from the seller's viewpoint. So basically, work with with an agent who really knows the area, and the agent who's experienced, who's not just doing it part-time. And I'm not knocking part-time agents, but this industry really, it's a lot of research and really understanding the market. And you just have to really delve full-time into it. There's no other way to go about it. All right. So I think I have here, I loaded up, and I know we're able to see it. This is a nice way to summarize. I'm also going to show you a video. What to do if your house didn't sell, and you see the most common reasons. It was priced too high. And by the way, this is on my blog site as well. It was posted yesterday. Buyers are already feeling pinched, so they are skipping over a house that's overpriced. It didn't show well. The house didn't get the necessary repairs, fresh paint, or just too cluttered. It didn't get the right exposure, limited the days and times a buyer can see the house or know its market limits, or how its market limits your potential to sell to. Okay? Basically, when you use an agent, they put a lockbox on the door. The proper buyer's agent will always call the listing agent to make sure it's okay to show the house. Most times the listing agent says, let me see if the owners are home. If the owners are home, 9 out of 10 times they'll step out of the house. They'll go into their car in the garage, or they'll go to the store, and you could go around and walk freely. It's not good for the seller to be there, because the buyers can't really discuss. They don't want it to hurt anybody's feelings. So the buyer comes in and the carpet is dirty, they can't really discuss it. And if they're, if the sellers are there, they oh, what a nice carpet, but it's a wreck. So they want to be able to speak freely, not because they're going to put down the owner, but just to discuss what needs to be done for them to purchase the property. If they're going to put an offer on it, they want the carpets to be steamed. All right. So with that, let me show you this nice little film. Oh, do we still say film? No, we don't say film anymore. That sums up what we just discussed. Okay. So I hope that hopefully nicely sums it up. And let's see. Let's see if I can make me one big picture. Okay. All right. So remember, on my blog site, I have, and these come out quarterly, I have the things to consider when buying a home, the winter 2025 edition, as well as things to consider when selling a home, and it's also the winter 2025 edition. Again, these are updated 4 times a year. So once we get into spring around March, I should have the spring of 2025 things to consider when selling your home and things to consider when you're buying a home. And you say, where do I find this wonderful thing? And you go to realestatewithmrg.blog/resource-materials. And they're there, and you could download them for free. All right? Isn't that nice? Okie doke. Let's get rid of the of my different. Okay. All right. So actually, let me let's see here. I think I need a little sound effects. So let's see. And you could go to my website and download those guides for free. See the wonderful things I could do? All right. All right. So I'm hearing from my producer, Isabel, that we have a special guest in the audience. Is that true, Isabella?
Mr. G, great news. We have celebrities in the audience. Originally from Palermo, Sicily, this couple performed their acrobatic acts at local pubs and circuses. After arriving on a boat to America, they performed their bits at local nights of Columbus in New York City and Brooklyn. As interest in twirling hats waned, the husband of the act entered a life of crime with the Corleone mob family. Ladies and gentlemen, the twirling Barzingis.
I remember the Bassinis. I think eventually they, after they gave up the twirling hats, whatever they are, they went into the crime world. So it's sad to say, but things happen. All right, so that's our show for today. Hope you learned something good. And again, a lot of things are happening this week. And I'll do maybe some social reports during the week to let you know what's going on. What's going on? All right. So in the meantime, remember, the greatest power we have is the love, and the greatest gift is each other. So be nice to each other. All right. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.